Hello, everyone. We are live. I hope you can hear us live and clear. Please, if you can hear us, please kindly put in the comments. If you can hear us, kindly put in the comments wherever you're watching from, whether you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook, on any of the groups. Please let us know if you can hear us. Somebody, please help us put in the comments. Say it loud and clear if you can hear us. If you can hear us. Wow. Yes, good to see loud and clear. Thank you, Angela. God bless you. God bless you. Welcome to Keeping It Real with the Ekundayos and the Borires. We've seen many of you talk about last year's one.
Yes, on Rema.
But we're going to quickly reintroduce ourselves for those of you who have, maybe somebody sent you this link and you haven't met us before. So we'll just go from here to there. All right. My name is Samuel Ekundayo, the one and only husband of Blessing Ekundayo. They call me the purpose preacher, and I'm glad that I am that way.
Hallelujah. Hi, everyone. Good evening from New Zealand. My name is Blessing Ekundayo. I'm a medical doctor by profession. I'm also a relationship educator. Welcome to Keeping It Real with Borires and Ekundayo.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yemi Borire. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everyone. My name is Borire, and I'm so glad to be here live in Auckland.
Yes, we are all in the same location.
Yes, it's amazing to be here in Auckland, New Zealand, and thanks for joining us. Hopefully, we're going to have a wonderful time today. Hey.
Yes, we will. We're keeping it real, and our goal in this on this conversation is such that we're able to talk about real issues, real things about all things marriage, money, ministry, career, parenting, and so on and so forth. So we're going to just, start by just talking about our friendship. Our friendship. To the glory of God, we've been friends now for a few years, but I'm not going to say much. I'm gonna pass it on to Dr. Nee to fully remind us how it all started.
Well, I think that just to talk a bit about what you guys were getting from us today. As we said, we're keeping it real, but I think it's always important to engage with you guys and to share with you what we experience, and to say that in a way that would be sort of resonate with you and would connect with your own individual experiences, because sometimes people may have an inflated idea of what our lives are about. Sure. I had someone asking me today that how do you do the many things you do? But of course, that would not be possible without this person here. And so sometimes it's really important for us to just catch up. And of course, being in Auckland, we're on holiday in Auckland, so I've been spending time with the Ekundayos every day for the last few days. Has been amazing. So we thought it would be nice to just share experiences together and just talk. So our friendship really, I think that the friendship really started after we connected online, myself and you, Dr. Sam. I think I'd seen your multivitality videos, a few of those videos. I was just impressed with the consistency of those videos. Those days you didn't have a lot of following.
1 like, 2 like, 10 likes.
So there's no following there, but I just was consistent. You were consistent, and I liked watching them. I wasn't a very heavy Facebook user, but somehow the Facebook algorithm would bring those videos to me, and I watched them over and over again. And I think there was a time when I just sort of reached out to you.
Yes, you did.
Particularly when our church just started, and then we started chatting.
January 2018.
January 2018, we started talking. And then very quickly, I said, you should come over, and you came over. You stayed at our house, and we sort of kicked it off. And I think that just sort of made a huge difference to the whole situation, and it was amazing. I think that was where it all started.
Yes, that was where it all started. And then I came back and told my wife, and the friendship grew as well.
I think was that when all of us went to
Yes.
Sydney.
Later.
Like the whole family actually. Was it later?
December
Yes,
Yeah.
28th.
Yes.
We all went to Sydney and spent some good time with the Borires in Sydney.
Yes,
Yeah,
with the boys,
entire
all of
family
us,
actually.
everybody.
It was good.
Yeah, and we're so glad to have them in Auckland.
Yes.
To the glory of God, both of our families, we've grown together, and we've learned so much from each other. And I believe very strongly that we will not be here today without God blessing us with each other. And we're so excited. So some of the things we're going to be talking about today is born out of all the things we've learned from each other, all of the things that we're learning together. So these are the Ekundayos and the Borires. And we are going to, by the grace of God, be sharing some things. So while we discuss this, babe, you want to kickstart with the first question?
Yeah, so we've got some interesting things that we're talking about today, like we already said. Just for us to put it out there, we're just going to be sharing what our life has been, how we handle things in our marriage, in our finances, in our ministry. So it's important for you to realize that we are not sort of prescribing what you should be doing in your own marriage, but we are hoping that our experiences that we'll be sharing today will be able to encourage you, be able to help you in one way or the other. And so we're going to kickstart by talking about why friendship is important in marriage, and we're just putting it out there. Why is friendship important in marriage? While we're talking or while we are sharing, it's important for you to, if you have any question, just drop in a comment. We're having this conversation. We're not talking at you. We are just sharing. And so while we're discussing, if something resonates with you, let us know in the comment section. If you have any question or you're wondering how this happened to you, how do you guys handle this, let us know also. Okay, we will be answering all your questions as we go. So why is friendship important in marriage? So that's our first question. Who would like to go first?
Why? All right. I think that you think you've been with someone for maybe a year,
Many years.
yeah, and you just want to get married to them, and you discover that you don't even know them enough. So I think that it's very important that before we say, oh yeah, I'm going to be cutting this person, it's important that we start with being friends.
Sure.
So that you know what that person is like. Before
so you're not shocked.
Or that the person is pretending. I don't think friends will pretend. They will be real, just like we're keeping it real tonight. So when you're friends first, you see that person raw.
Sure.
You can never be fake for too long. So I think that's one of the main reasons why friendship is very important in marriage or before marriage.
Yeah. I think I really agree with what Salah said, because I think for us, what really helped us before my husband even asked me out to be his fiance, we were friends, even though we met online. Some of you might already know us, so we met online. But I think one thing that really helped us was while we were online, we were chatting every single day. We were asking each other questions. Like
we couldn't do all the romance, so we might as well talk.
Yeah, exactly, and that helped to solidify the friendship that we had. We're asking real life questions like, where do you see yourself in this so number of years? What do you want to become in life? And that sort of helped us to really helped me personally to understand which kind of person this guy is before we even started having like feelings or emotions, and that has helped us in our marriage today, because if we didn't have friendship, maybe our marriage would have been over a long time. long time ago, so I think friendship is critical.
And really, you cannot marry your enemy. The opposite of friendship is maybe an enemy. So the person that you're going to be with every single day, that you're going to be rubbing shoulders with every day, that you probably be sleeping with on the same bed, that you be raising kids together, I'd better be your friend.
Yeah.
Because if that person is not your friend, you will die before your time. So I'm not a fan of all these people that they find someone and they are really close friends and they said that person is now in the friend zone. So do you not want to marry someone in enemy zone? They say that person is now in the friend zone, so they cannot be in a relationship with that person. It sounds crazy. I think it's important that you marry your friend. And one of the things that I think is working for our marriage is the fact that we are friends. Like my wife and I, sometimes we have to stop ourselves from keep talking. She will come here at work and it's just meant to be a 5 minutes call before from that to that. You'll be shocked that a few of those questions is about children. It's mostly about us, what we want to do, what we want to buy, and we have to no, this was meant to be a 5 minutes call. We'll continue when you come home. Friendship, I think, is very key.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my view, I think you've all said it. Friendship is pivotal. It's the pivot that holds any successful marriage. And just even from the beginning of the of the relationship itself, friendship is key. And I would always say that. I think I've heard too many people say it, and we've said it today, that you should marry a friend, even if you feel you're led or you feel that the person that you are interested in getting married to is not necessarily somebody that is in your circle. Then I actually believe that the first step should be friendship.
Growing friendship.
You should seek to know the person.
Yeah.
Because what's friendship? Friendship is companionship. Friendship is sharing experiences, having conversations. And whether you develop the friendships through dating, through meeting at different places, whatever ways you develop that friendship and you nurture that friendship, so there's a connection.
Absolutely.
All right, because that's certainly what will support and sustain the marriage.
Yes.
The attraction is good. The attraction will be there, but that attraction fades. All right. And a lot of things that you'll start with, that as you grow, when people say they grow apart, it's real, it's true. Your needs, your emotional needs are different. Your psychological needs within a marriage are different. Your need for company will vary from time to time. There are times in your relationship that you'll be very needy, and there'll be times in your relationship where you would want to be on your own. You will not be. You will not need your partner as much. You will have that sense of independence. And if you guys are not friends, you would realize when you hear people say they grow up, and that's pretty much what happens. That the need for the other person, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional support, whether it's spiritual support, or in any other way, our needs for each other vary as our relationship grows. But what ties us together is a friendship. And I think the most important thing is you being able to be in the company of your partner, of your wife or your husband, and be free.
Be vulnerable.
And be you.
And be able to crack jokes.
I to fart. There's some people, they've been in marriage for 10 years, they've never farted. They've never farted in front of each other. What kind of friendship is that?
Or maybe the other person will, frown at them.
Can you imagine? Keep it real.
Or even if they frown, you can still do it.
So friendship is really pivotal, like people all said. And I think that also there's this other thing that came to my mind. Like some people have other people as their best friends rather than their spouses. That person my best friend. I'm like, why can't your spouse be your best friend? Like, what is it that you can share with that other person that you cannot share with your spouse? Like, my husband is my intimate best friend. To be honest, like I can share anything and everything, and that's what intimacy in marriage is supposed to be all about at the end of the day.
Yes. Someone's asking us that the person agrees. Benedicta Ibu, he said, I agree that friendship is key. Communication in marriage is an absolute yes. One person in the marriage is not willing to communicate when the other person is trying so hard. What do you do?
I think don't give up. I think that...
Is that in a marriage?
Yes,
I think it's said in a marriage.
Yes,
right?
the person said when one person in the marriage is not willing to communicate when the other person is trying so hard. What do you do?
I just think don't give up. If you need, I would say, take it to God in prayers. You also work on yourself and also see if there are things that you can do differently. I don't think, a lot of us, we're very different. Some people will talk more, some will not talk that much.
And they're not angry.
Yes. But I think there's always a way of getting to your spouse, you know them. And that's why we've said that friendship is important. If I'm angry with my husband and I know and my husband wants me to get out of that anger, I know that there's a way he can get across to me. So try different avenues and don't give up. Don't give up.
If I may add to that, lack of communication is communication. In fact, silence is actually communication. So if you're with a partner, your partner isn't talking, they are talking. But they're not talking with words. Their silence is actually also passing a message.
Their behavior.
And I think it's important to understand why. I think understanding the why is more important than the what. All right. The fuel of love is communication. And when you stop talking, you stop loving.
Fuel of love is communication.
You know, listen, if Dr. Sam, God forbid, let me not use us as an example, but if any man talks to his secretary, you know, every day for 7 days a week, 365 days a year, for even less than that, for even 6 months, you fall in love. That's how CEOs fall in love with their secretaries. They don't.
When the communication
is communication,
going,
you know. So the more you talk to somebody, even that's how friends fall in love. You know, it's just from talking. If you talk to somebody, you become more vulnerable. You trust that person more. You open up. You don't have to. Love evolves because love is built on communication, and that's the same thing in our spiritual lives. When we keep talking to God, we love Him more, and when we talk less to God, we love Him less. So the communication is essential, but I think the point there is what's the issue really, all right? And why is the person not talking? Or maybe you're not understanding their language. Some people are not very expressive when it comes to sharing their own feelings and all that. And maybe for you're you know, maybe the person asking the question, Benedicta, maybe you're more of a
sanguine.
Or maybe for you, your love language is words of affirmation. You want to hear that person say this to you, but then the other person may not just necessarily express that, and that may be a concern. And it's true. That's a form of incompatibility, and so you need to work it out. So you need to get them on board in a very calm way, in a very positive way, to say, listen, these are my needs.
I need to hear you.
I need to hear you, because by you communicating with me, you fulfill my emotional needs. All right, you actually
make me feel loved.
You make me feel loved. I need to hear from you. All right. And then you can understand why that person isn't talking. Maybe they're not talking because of the way you are talking. All right. Maybe they're not talking because
communication is different.
Or maybe they are not talking is a message. Maybe in the other areas of life, maybe in the bedroom,
they are talking.
Yeah. And now
talking.
No, maybe there's their own way of saying, you know what? You know what I mean? I will pass a message to you. So that's what I'm saying. That when a man isn't talking, and I assume this is a man, all right, when a man isn't talking, he's saying a lot. All right, it's just about you being, but I can understand the frustration where, and I've seen relationships where it's, the woman can go really mad, where they're putting all their effort, and the man is just like a brick wall. That would take, as my wife said, lots of prayers, being vulnerable, and if possible, if you can find yourself to a married counselor, a married
counseling,
very
certified marriage counselor.
Very important. I mean, Dr. Neely has said a lot, and Stella me too. It's important for you to find out why is he not talking. I mean, is this how this person? We don't know if it's a he or a she. So is this
were they like that?
Were they like that before you even got? If the person was not a person that communicates a lot, then it's something that you need to realize that you have to walk through it. True. It's a journey. That person is not going to change all of a sudden to not become what you expect him or her to become. Because a lot of time when people get married, we think that he will change or she will change. I will change him or I will change her. It doesn't happen.
Then you are not Holy Spirit. You are not assistant to Holy Spirit.
So if you have been trying so hard before marriage to help that person to talk, don't expect that when you now get married, the person will just automatically start talking. No, it's not going to happen that way. So if this has been the person's pattern all through the way of communicating by not really talking much, then realize
you just need to understand who they are.
Yes, it's a cross that you may have to bear, but you also have to have a conversation, with that person continuously. This is what you talking to me this way means to me. Like
means a lot.
Yes, yes. And don't nag about it, because sometimes you say, I've tried so hard, I can't, this, I've told you, it's not about nagging, because that you're not going to get the results that you want. But keep talking about it, keep showing love to the person, and speak to people who you feel like the person will listen to. But if this is who this person is, then you will probably need some prayer or counseling, and be patient. Don't expect
people
that person
don't change
to change. Yes, I hope. I don't know if any of us
have been answered.
Anything else to say?
Before we take, there's another question I see there. Okay. But before we take that question, on this question of communication, friendship that we've just talked about, is there a perfect marriage? Because people can look at you on social media, like, now, like the kind of photos me and my wife take now, she will just rest on my back like this, and people can now look at it, I've had someone say that before, although she didn't say perfect marriage. You just have a perfect life. The person probably have looked at my Instagram, because Instagram can be like that. You just have a perfect life. But is there anything such as a perfect marriage?
No. Because there is no let me tell you, everything that exists on the surface of this earth is imperfect by design. Every idea is imperfect. Every philosophy every theology is imperfect. All right. The only thing that is perfect, all right, is God, His word, all right, and His spirit that is at work in us. That's just it. So if you're dealing with imperfect humans, and you put two imperfect humans from two different backgrounds together. So wait, you bring two imperfect humans from imperfect backgrounds, from imperfect families, imperfect culture.
Everything is imperfect.
All right? Yes.
In an imperfect environment.
Equals perfect.
How do you get perfection?
You can't. I reckon that my wife and I, we've had our own rocking roads, and maybe more recently, our major challenge is about balancing, our needs. Because I have realized now that my wife's needs have grown, have changed. My own needs have also changed.
Because we're growing, all of us are growing, we're evolving.
And so the reality, and that's why it's when people have midlife crisis and when people divorce after 10, 20 years of marriage, it's real because needs change. In the first 10 years of your marriage, your needs will change. And a lot of your needs will be maxed with your desire to make your kids comfortable. So you realize that the commonality that you have when your kids are under 10 it's once the kids grow up and they are becoming more independent and they are teenagers and they are self-sufficient,
your needs start to
your needs become more obvious.
The things you talk about become
it's different. When you now realize that, my wife, you've changed. Well, the change has been progressive
all the while,
but you've covered it with the desire to look after children, because everything is about children.
Wow.
And then once the children are now independent and on their own, you just sit down and realize that we're not the same. We're not what happened to us? And this, you still go check statistics that the majority of divorces either happen within the first year of marriage or happen when people are in their 40s.
Why are they breaking up?
Yes, why are they breaking up? And people don't, and you know what? A lot of the time, all right, the cheating that happens afterwards happens because the needs are not being met, not because there's no sex in the marriage or whatever. It's just because there's
maybe
no vibe.
The friendship that we're talking about
is gone, and you just wonder that there's no, we've grown apart, that kind of thing. So I think that back to the question of imperfection, there's no it takes a lot of constant working on and celebrating the good things. So when you see on Instagram and people, of course I do that, I celebrate my wife. Even days I post about her, I fought about her. We've argued today. What did we even argue about in the car?
Sometimes you can't even remember what we argued about. Yeah.
One ridiculous thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I was even going to pitch. And she made me lose my
lose the message.
No, not the message. I
missed the way.
And then we got to the church where we're 15 minutes
late.
Do you understand? Over the most ridiculous.
You can't even remember. You can't even remember again. Can you imagine?
Yeah. So when when we're just going the back and forth, I'm like, you two, but you two. I missed my turn, and then I went all the way to
everybody would have to go quiet. At least let's get back on the road.
So it was, guess
Quiet.
what? She did not, of course, she knew then that once I missed the road and I saw the GPS was like 10 kilometers, she just kept quiet.
Everybody.
And then until we got to the place, and then I sat down. So she sat down beside me. I was like, I was a man of God. I'm like, in my mind, I was like, so these are simple things that do happen.
Yes,
and that's just life. Eh?
Yeah, and then the truth is, everything in life, there are two sides. You will never find anything in life with one side. There's always two sides to everything.
Yeah.
Everything. There's no one-sided thing. Everything in life is either two-dimensional or three-dimensional. So when you are seeing a beautiful marriage, on Instagram, on social media, and they are smiling and they are happy, there's also the sides that we are not showing you.
Yeah,
That's
Who
the
wants
truth.
to show that?
Most people only paint
Who
the
wants
great
to show
sides.
that?
Yeah, nobody shows you the dirty.
Imagine us doing Instagram reel on the days
And
we are
then
fighting. Even you, we are followers.
But we're so perfect at it, aren't we?
Yes.
That even when you're fighting,
You still post. So why you cannot follow the person? There are two sides, and this is very important because all of us we need to, especially for maybe single people or people who are married and they are now equating their marriage, judging other people's marriage, equating theirs with their husband,
other
with someone else's husband.
standard.
As standard, yes. You have to be very careful. There are dynamics. There's something I always tell my wife: dynamics. Anytime you say, "Oh, that home," I say that's dynamics. That's their own dynamics.
Yeah.
This is our own dynamics. Like for instance, in this house, I remember when we just started. There are times when we fight. We can fight for 3 weeks and not talk. For 3 weeks and not talk. But now, 3 weeks is too long.
Too much.
like I can't.
It's too much.
I'll be feeling too lonely not to be able to talk to my wife for that long. We've grown. We've outgrown all of that. Yeah, those 3 weeks then too. We still post on social media. And nobody will know.
Yeah, I guess what we are just saying is that there is no perfect marriage. All the things that you see, the glam, to the glory of God, God is helping all of us.
Yes.
Yeah, and the reason why we are sharing this is to make you realize that we are actually a work in progress. We're all working on our marriages. And I think for us, as my husband and wife, we try as much as possible to be intentional, about all the things that we do for each other and for ourselves. I understand my husband's needs, and I try as much as I can to actually meet his needs, because if his needs are not met, then my husband, clearly, he will just be frowning. He'll be grumpy. He'll be grumpy.
All of us. It's all of us. When our needs are not met, we'll be grumpy. It's not me alone.
He'll be irritable.
Until you give him a dose of purpose.
Hey, come on.
And then everybody will be all right.
Oh my God.
But that's the truth, though. That's the truth. Anybody that you see grumpy, squinting their eyes, not happy, the question we should be asking is there something? Yes. Why? Like you said, is there a reason why? If they're not like this yesterday, they're not like this 2 days ago, they're not like this 1 week ago. What happened? What has changed? And if we begin to ask ourselves that question, perhaps there will be an answer that could fix things.
And I think the other thing that for those who are not sort of married and you're looking at maybe someone, of course, you already know, if you follow this conversation, that there's no perfect man or woman out there for you.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's all about finding what imperfections to overlook. Of course, we are people of faith. So somebody who is not of faith would not even come into the picture. All right. So if you're trying to make a choice, and I'm not going to go into, marital choice when Dudu Shewa is here. So, but just to, as you know me, I'm a neuroscientist.
Neuroscience of marriage.
So, but
masterclass coming soon.
Watch out.
You can do collabo. Someone has actually invited me to speak on the neuroscience of love.
Whoa, like that.
So, but the point I'm trying to make there is that if you didn't know that, there are no perfect people out there, it's all about finding what imperfections you'll be willing to overlook. There's some imperfections that will be sort
live
of,
with.
That you'll be willing to live with. Because let me tell you, and somebody was sharing with us yesterday that if you go with beauty, when the Bible says beauty is vain, it is true that beautiful people, the person said, and I think there's a bit of validity to it, it's not general, But people who have beauty, and when you talk about beauty, listen, I've read about maybe 12 papers on the neuroscience of beauty. All right, and what is actually beauty,
the
all right,
concept of
and the
beauty.
concept of beauty, and what is naturally considered as beauty. But let's not go into that. But if you marry somebody who is beautiful, all right,
Attractive.
are attractive, like physically attractive, then that's just one dimension. All right, there are many other things that they may carry there. Spiritual baggage, emotional baggage. There are very pretty faces who are actually emotionally burdened and emotionally
damaged,
heavy and emotionally damaged.
Some people are
all
like
right,
that.
so even if they're physically perfect, in quote, like they have a model, the appearance of
and
a
also
model,
6-pack and everything. Also, it's not only girl.
Yes.
It's got
And some guys.
Yes, I'm just sipping my tea.
the six-pack.
I'm sipping my tea. I'm minding my business.
So the imperfections may be emotional, the imperfections may be spiritual, the imperfections may be cultural, it may be mindset. We're just recently talking about
background
people with scarcity mindset. You marry somebody who is a nerd, very intelligent, but very mature. All right, he's bright, he's very intelligent, but yes, he can't communicate, he can't relate with your in-laws, he can't be a father, he can't relate properly, So all of these things can happen and can certainly be a challenge.
Yes. Salah, do you want to say anything?
I was gonna say, the grass is not greener on the other side.
So true.
A lot of us, like we've said, we look at people on Instagram. If I post something today about myself and my husband, that's what I've decided to post. I would not go and start typing, that, my husband is this, is that. I wouldn't bring out the bad, So the grass is not greener on the other side.
Yes.
Whatever marriage you're in now, know that it can't get better. We just need to do the work.
Yes, there is hope.
And marry somebody who is willing to be committed to you. So marry somebody who is intentional about you. So that even when you are in the marriage and things are tough, the person still desires
to be with you.
Yes, exactly.
The worst thing that can happen to you is to marry someone who doesn't want to be with you.
Oh, God.
Yes, from the onset,
terrible.
that marriage has already ended. And you see people like that. People don't want to be with them. They force themselves into that person's life. If you do that, it's dangerous, because it's like it's just a matter of time. The person will feel like there's an ultimatum for them, and they just need to leave at a point. But if someone who really wants to be with you, no matter what you are, like my wife said, no matter what you are going through, no matter the challenges, the failures, the mistakes, the errors, the arguments, they want to be with you. So everything will still resolve back to that round table to discuss, that round table to talk about it, to make it work. Yes, no matter how tough the fight has been, you still eventually have to make up at the end of the day. So there's a question here. Someone asked a question. The person said, I have a friend in her 30s and is married to a man in his 60s, but she's not happy at all. Please, what can she do? This question is interesting because we don't know why the person is not happy, so we can't really answer. I don't believe it's the age alone that is the reason.
There are millions of things that may not make a woman happy in her marriage. So it's difficult for us, for me to be able to say this is what this lady should do, or to advise, because we don't know why she's not happy in that marriage.
There are many reasons why someone may not be.
But ultimately, I think that if one is not happy, have a conversation with your spouse, about what is making you unhappy with him or with the marriage. See how you can make things work together. Have a conversation, talk to God about it also. Have a conversation with people who can speak to your spouse, people who your spouse is hopefully accountable to.
It's dangerous to marry someone who's not accountable to anybody. That's one mistake that people make as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I think at this point also we need to tell people compatibility before you get married. I know we've touched around this, but it's also very, very critical. If you get married to somebody who you're not compatible with in values, talked about marrying someone who's a Christian, it's going to tell also in marriage. It's going to show up in marriage. You struggle in that marriage because you realize that your values. I'm thinking about this. The person is thinking about something opposite, and it will cause cause a lot of clashes in that marriage. So marry somebody who you are compatible with. It's very, very important. Yeah.
And if I may add to that, you see, marriage is hard on its own.
It's hard.
Now, when you now bring in asymmetry, when the marriage is now asymmetric, meaning it's not balanced, and asymmetry may be in terms of age, emotional maturity, cultural background, like interracial marriages.
It makes it tougher.
So when there's asymmetry, or it could be finance, where one person earns a lot and the other person also show economic status, anything. I'm not saying that, in fact, the reality is that the majority of marriages, are within people within the same peers, or people who are not too far apart. There may be a gap, but the gap is not usually big. So, really, I reckon that I don't have this data, but I reckon that most marriages, the age gap between spouses will be like 10. Really, the majority of marriages, maybe more than 50% of marriages, you wouldn't get a age difference of more than 10. So when you're having somebody
30 years
who is 30 years older, that's like a
like
father.
Generational gap.
So there are a lot of
that's generational gap.
There are a lot of, when you say compatibility as we're talking about is in phases. So you can be very compatible with somebody because at that time your needs may be somebody fatherly. A 30-year-old lady at the time, especially if you've been in past relationships where you've been disappointed, you may be looking for a father figure, or maybe
security,
or maybe the person never had a father in their life, and so at that time, that person, especially if they are financially okay, they are well set, assuming that's not their first marriage. So they're mature, they can look after you, all of those things. But as time goes on, your needs may be different, and the kind of conversations you have may be different,
and that may not sustain the marriage anymore.
So when there's asymmetry at the beginning, always watch out for it. It doesn't mean that it cannot work. It can work, but it takes a lot of hard work. All right, and you have to be intentional. That
work with a lot of hard work.
Yes, and both parties have to be really intentional. Yeah, we're going to make it work. All right, and so if you're marrying somebody from a different cultural background than yours, it's going to be a bit of hard work. I had a friend then who was saying that, oh my God, it's not easy going with some of my in-laws when we're going for their parties and we're just drinking tea. Because when she comes to, he's Nigerian, he's, from a different background. And so when they go there, it's all tea. But he's used to, eating pounded yam and everything when they go to, so, everyone is different. Everyone is different.
And that brings us to a question we would like to ask again. We're looking at all of the things we've talked about today. Friendship, we've talked about love and all of this. Can love sustain a marriage? Can love
somebody asking a question
alone sustain a marriage? Yes, we'll save that question. Okay. But let's talk about this. Can love alone sustain a marriage?
Deep.
That's very, very deep.
Well, I think we should.
All we need is love.
Someone said love is not enough.
I think it depends on what we mean by love.
Yeah.
You understand? And the definition of love. Love is really essential for marriage. And in fact, all the things that we do, whether it's friendship, whether it's trying to look for areas of compatibility, still to build love and to sustain love. All right. So communication is meant to build love. Group activities, sex, all of those things, they all contribute to, to love. So it all depends on, but if you're just looking at physical attraction and, that
chemistry and romance,
those kind of things, yes, it's probably not. It's not, because as we talked about, I think one thing we can all agree about is that we're married now many years? 13 years. We've changed. Wow. Marriage changes you. Life changes you. Marriage changes you. Your kids change you.
Yes.
Do you understand? So
your career changes.
Everything changes you. So your needs would be different. All of those things change, and so I think it all depends on how you classify. If love is for you is really the romantic kind of thing, then it's not
Shakespeare
enough.
Love.
A time will come
Cinderella
when
love.
Romeo and Juliet love. I die for you, you die for me.
Butterflies in my tummy kind of love.
Oh,
butterflies in my tummy.
So so it's not like I can't remember the last time I saw my wife and I felt yeah.
And you said that.
Yes.
Don't say that.
No.
Don't say that.
No. So, you will actually think something is, it's actually not realistic. Of course, if you travel and you're looking forward to coming home and everything,
somebody is every day,
but somebody you see every day,
So if the butterfly has not even died itself, no, what are they doing?
Yes.
The butterfly.
So you may miss them. Especially if you're on a trip, if you're away, you're traveling,
Of
stuff like
course.
that. But if you're seeing each other every day, you don't have palpitations every day when you see your partner.
Check your blood pressure.
Content.
Check your blood pressure if you're having heart
Yeah.
palpitation. Also, after 10 years of marriage, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Some people still have it.
So it's true. So at the end of the day, those things that may happen in the first few years of marriage or even before marriage may not be very prominent
Realistic.
as you go on with your marriage, and everything may change. Even the actual act of sexual intercourse, and permit me to say this, may also change, because then it may even become almost like a duty, especially when you have kids. Like, okay, what's the time?
And we're going to work. You have commitment.
Oh, sorry. Papa means that,
quickly. But there's
Sorry,
quickly.
yeah, sorry. You know what I mean? Like, those
The
days
kids
when
are coming,
you have roses, when you have roses and you have to
Did you lock the
feel-
door? Or like those in early days that you have to display flowers, lights, candles.
Candles, everything.
That one maybe like once in 2 years now. So lights candle before we make love. So, I don't know if I can do it again.
Oh my God.
So your changes, but that doesn't mean, in fact, you now have to be intentional to say, let's enjoy, let's provide, But the reality is that on a regular basis, it's just not feasible and realistic. So I think it's important to just put that into perspective when we're having this conversation about marriage in this sense.
In terms of love sustaining, and you said something that's very powerful. Like, how do you see love? If love is the Romeo Juliet type of love, time will test it.
Yeah.
And I think if we see love though as the 1 Corinthians 13, the Bible, all right, for the children of God watching us, Christians watching us, if you see love from the perspective of 1 Corinthians 13, where love is patient, love is kind, literally all the attributes of God. Like literally, we could literally replace all of that with the fruits of the spirit. Patience is forgiving, doesn't keep a grudge, and all of those things, not boastful, and all of. If that is what we see as love, then maybe we could say literally that love can sustain a marriage. Because anyone who has all of that, you must be a perfect person. You must be a perfect person. Like you love, you forgive, you don't boast, you kind, and you have everything together. There was never a time you are that love will sustain a home.
Absolutely.
But it has many dimensions to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it takes working at it, keep working.
Intentionality.
Yes, keep working.
Yeah.
Awesome. Somebody asked a question that is very powerful from Ayalabi Martins. He said, if marriage requires so much sacrifice and commitment, is it really necessary? Also, do you mind elaborating on the pros and cons of marriage? That's a very deep question. A very powerful question.
And
yes, ma'am.
I just want to quickly say that marriage, for anyone that can get married, is beautiful. I think that God, one of the things that the institutions that God created is marriage, and it's a beautiful one. It's I say that with all these challenges that we say there are in marriages, marriage is a sweet thing. There's no one in life that would say that, I became this and that without doing the work. So even when we say, even living life itself, staying alive
requires sacrifice
itself
and
is a sacrifice. So I think that for every child of God, get married, but do it the right way.
Yes.
Do not think that when you get married, there will be no challenges. There will be it blows my mind when I see people that God brings people that are different together. And when He brings them together, it's beautiful.
It is.
So marriage there's companionship, there's partnership, you have somebody you can fight with, settle with,
Yes, so
pray with,
it's a
have fun
privilege.
together.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
And I think one of the ways the devil has really damaged our society is by really coming after the institution of marriage, isn't it?
Yes.
Where marriage, as the essence of marriage, has become questioned. Where it's now about, where people don't find the need to make this lifelong commitment. Now it can be open. There are different variations, different, ideologies out there and stuff like that. And some people just believe in cohabitation and no need for marriage and all that. I can understand that. Yeah, marriage as an institution has lasted any other institution in the world.
Yes.
Marriage predates any other social structure or any other civilization. It's lasted communism. It's lasted when man was a hunter-gatherer, lasted the Middle Ages, lasted everything
all
up
forms
till
of
now.
civilization.
Up till now. So it shows the robustness of the idea of marriage, which is a great idea. All right. And I think that should be celebrated. And marriage will outlast this new modern day ideas and philosophy, even feminism itself and the extremes of feminism and all sorts. Marriage will outlast those ideas. So what I think is important is for us to make sure that we, for those who are, not everyone will get married, but if you're going into marriage, make sure you do it with the right intention, make sure you have the right ideas, make sure you get all the necessary information that you can make the right choice and enjoy it while you're in it.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
In terms of the pros and cons, he was talking about the pros and cons. Marriage has many advantages. We don't talk about it enough. But as we talk about our challenge, we talk about the challenges as well. But I think we should talk more on the pros, advantages. For instance, the Bible says that one will chase 1,000, two will chase 10,000. There are many things I make bold to say this that I would never have achieved today without this woman here. And I could have friends too, but I still would not have achieved the same thing. The partnership that marriage brings is a commitment and a covenant of being together for better, for worse. Those things we say on the altar that has now become things that people run away from and hide away from these days. It's actually that's God's idea, that we should be together through the thick and the thin. I reckon I know something that is so powerful that when people are sick, who will be with them 247 and stay with them, and unless you're the covenant somewhere, if they're not your parents or your sibling. In fact, parents have their own spouses and they have other children, so they may not be able to be with you 247 and be with you. It is sometimes when you go through challenges, it is that person that has sworn to be with you in sickness, in health, in everything, that will be there. Other people will run away, they will go and have their own, continue their own life because they have to continue their own life, but it is that person that has taken the oath to be with you that will be there. Also, I've come to realize, just in the context of one which is 1,000, two we chase 10,000 as well. I've come to realize whenever, like my wife and I, whenever we share ideas together, it's as if things just get better. But whenever I'm just building on my own and I'm doing those things on my own, even though I may have read tons of books about that thing and taken courses and coaching, still when I rub it, when we rub shoulders, it gets better. Whereas if I'm on my own, in fact, the Bible says, "Woe to him that is alone." Woe to him that is alone. So it's a major. Marriage is beautiful.
Marriage is beautiful
if it is with the right person, with the right mindset. Both people having the right mindset, marriage is beautiful.
And that's why it's important to do marriage God's way. Bible says also that two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. So it is important that you marry right. Now, it's not everybody that may end up getting married, but doesn't mean that marriage is not beautiful. Marriage is wonderful. So if you ever have the opportunity of, if God blesses you with a spouse, don't deny yourself of that blessing, because number one, it also helps you to fulfill God's purpose for your own life. To the glory of God today, I used to be very, very shy, like very, very, very shy. Very, very, like the shy was very, 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 very. Yes, you would not see me hold a microphone and stand on a pulpit or do, but thank God for this man in my life, as in he has rubbed off on me. So if I wasn't married, I'll probably still be in my shell, in that, just doing my thing, my own little way. But that's what marriage does. Because of him, God has helped me to be able to understand God's purpose for my own life, and we are doing purpose together to the glory of God. And that's what marriage does. It enhances everything. It's like times 1 million, rather than you struggling. And that's why I quote that passage, Ecclesiastes 4:9, 2 are better than one, because they have a good reward for them. So if you don't find somebody who can make things better, like who, if you're with somebody who there's no good reward for that labor, that means you're actually better off alone than being with somebody else.
Absolutely.
So we are not saying that you must get married, you rush into marriage,
Yeah.
but you have to be with the right person, and that's when the marriage can actually be a blessing and bring glory to God. So marriage is beautiful. Don't be people are, and these days people are scared of getting married, because of all the things that you are hearing. So we are encouraging you to get married God's way. Find that person who's your purpose. There's compatibility of purpose. Yes, there's an alliance, because the Bible also says, can two work together except they agree? And that's it. Many people are getting married to people who don't agree with them, and they are forcing themselves to be married to that person. So please, marriage is beautiful, it's wonderful, and we are loving it, we're enjoying it. But there are sacrifices, there are commitments. Just like how, if you want to become a doctor today, or you want to become anything in life, there are sacrifices. You have to study hard for that exam, or else you will fail. If you want to be successful at your job, you have to go to work early.
There are sacrifices and commitments.
There are sacrifices and commitments, and that's just what marriage. You won't say because there's a lot of work, with becoming a great person in life. And I'll just sleep. It's not necessary.
It is necessary.
So every successful thing comes with challenges. It also comes with pain, sacrifices, commitments, and that's what marriage too is all about. So it doesn't mean that because we have to make sacrifices or commitments, it means that marriage is not.
It is necessary. I want to use the analogy of every delicious food that we all eat. All right. Yes, it's easy to look at it and say, "Oh, yum," and maybe it smells nice. Just to quickly acknowledge Bishop Bob Alonge. Thank you, Daddy. Thanks for joining. God bless you, sir. That's our Father in the Lord. God bless you, sir. All the delicious meal that we eat. The beautiful vegetables that we cook and soup and everything, and you smell the aroma, and it's amazing. But if you look at each of the ingredients that goes into the beautiful meal, each of them. Try to eat each of them alone by themselves. Maybe you say, "Oh, okay, you have all the ingredients. Okay, this is iru, and this is what's iru? Locust beans. This is seasoning, chili, tomato, onion." And you say, "Okay, and now I have all the ingredients. Locust beans, onions, a little bit of onion, a little bit of
raw rice,
raw salt." What's going to happen to you? Maybe we'll call ambulance eventually. At least we'll first of all check your mental health. But when you now, there's another thing too. You may have heard that they always mix these ingredients together to produce jollof rice, and you decide to just jam all the things together, just put it on the stove and cook it. You will still produce rubbish. But there is a way to learn from the master chef, from someone who is good at cooking it. And they will now give you the timing of when to put the onion, the timing of the garlic, the timing for the pepper, how those chefs say 45 degrees, all of these for 20 minutes, this one for that, and then that's when it will now become a beautiful jollof rice, and everybody will now be, and a lot of people want to taste it. They're asking you for the recipe. That's exactly what marriage is like. It's okay to see jollof rice and say, maybe they just mixed everything. In fact, you can even ask for recipe. But if you don't ask for the process of making it, recipe alone is not enough.
No, but actually, that's what recipe is. So the recipe is not just the constituents. It's actually the instruction.
How to.
All right. Of the step by step.
If you don't follow it.
Of adding all the ingredients together to make the meal. The other thing I would just chip into this sort of conversation about the beauty of marriage. All right. If you have any doubts about how marriage is beautiful, all right, go and buy my book. Or navigating change, or hear my story, or just go. I'm not sure. I'm sure I've spoken about my marriage over and over and over again. And I say that boldly, I say that consistently, that I've gained more from my marriage than anything else. And the person who has exerted the most influence in my life, more than any other person, more than any preacher, more than any speaker, more than any mentor, has been my wife. All right. So if you get it right, you would enjoy.
You enjoy.
You know how amazing is it is for you to have somebody parent kids. And for those of you who are parents here, and acknowledge Bishop Bob, who is here as well as spiritual father, we appreciate you, sir. For those of you who are parents here, you understand what it is to just create a human. I remember the first time we held our own baby boy, Daniel, and I was just like, this came from our loins.
Wow.
Do you understand? It's a special miracle, isn't it? It's a special miracle. And I know that there are a lot of bad examples out there, but you see, there's no good thing that has not been corrupted. And there's no, as I said to you earlier on, that everything that exists on the surface of this earth is imperfect by design. All right. And so marriage, as well as an institution, has its own flaws. So marriage is not a perfect. Our countries are not perfect. Everywhere we are, they're not.
Like
perfect.
we said earlier on, too. No marriage is perfect.
So but it's all worth it. So to the questionnaire, all right, there are more pros than cons to marriage, and there's a lot more to get out of it.
Absolutely.
At least that's our experience.
Yes, to the glory of God. That takes us to the next question, which is actually what is next on our agenda, so to speak. All right. The participant said marriage is beautiful. Yes, most times finance is a major issue that affects marriages. How can children of God handle difficulties in marriage as it relates to money? That's a very good question. A very good question. Let me tell a story, a really quick story. This was in Singapore of a couple who divorced because of $500. Of course, the $500 was an event that had more things that have happened in the past. The man is a liberal giver. Those people that somebody say, I've not eaten. How can you not have eaten? And he just give. Apparently they keep a joint account, him and his wife. He will just give. A secondary school mate from nowhere, I've not eaten all money. He just give. He will just give. And the wife is a very melancholy, detailed-oriented, manages accounts, checks how $30 is going, where $2 has gone, where $5 have gone. So the wife has always complained about just giving and giving until this $500 deal that this man met one of his secondary school mate or high school mate or university mate, whatever. That person said he has not eaten since morning. And the man was like, and he has money. How can you not have eaten since morning? Just withdrew $500. And I think the wife had said, last warning, maybe the last time. That was like the woman said she's not doing again.
Wow.
And that was the end of it. 500. Nobody could repair anything.
Wow.
So you could have two people like that. People like that. Somebody who is a giver and somebody who is a saver or detail-oriented, checks everything. And these are some of the things that affect Christian marriages as well too. So what do we say to this?
Dr. Sam, that in that story, I think one thing that was lacking, I don't know the story, but I think one thing that was lacking is communication. A lot of people look at women and they say, women don't want to give, the husband might have to keep it a secret to give something to somebody. I don't think that there's anyone like that. But if there's communication, my wife, there's this person that I think we should help. What do you think about it? Talk about it. Don't let it be that you're the one thinking it in your head, and you think that, I'm just going to do it. And then when I do it, I'll communicate to her and then she will just accept it that way. I think the reason why finances still continue to be an issue in marriages is because we don't do it the right way. There should be communication, and what will work for you might not work for the other person. So don't say, because my pastor told me when we were doing marriage counseling that we should have joint account, then we must have joint account. it might not work for you. It might only work for your pastor. So we should communicate and see what works for us when it comes to finances.
Are you saying, Ma, if I may pose this in another way, that the issue of finance is like a leaf or a shoot kind of issue, like symptom? There is the underlying problem. There is communication. Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
An understanding.
I think so.
But it can also be
the main issue.
Yeah. So listen, you could have headache as a primary.
Somebody said, I think the question is about the lack of money.
That's what
somebody said, I think the question is about when there is lack of money.
Oh, okay.
No, even when there's
money.
The example I was going to give is that you could have headache as a primary problem, and you could have headache as a symptom of another problem. All right. And that's the way I say it. See, there are 3 dimensions to finance in marriage that I see. And those are 3 things that would always be an issue, that irrespective of the financial arrangement you have or how much money you have, these 3 things should be there. Number 1, autonomy. Number 2, certainty. Number 3, equality.
Autonomy,
certainty and equality.
Please expatiate, sir.
Yeah, so these are 3 things that every couple should pursue or should have when it comes to their marital finance. So autonomy basically means that, yes, we can agree over expenses, but if you want to have a healthy marriage when it comes to your finances, you have to give room for autonomy in terms of the ability of each person to be able to make a decision to a ceiling, to a particular amount. Meaning that you don't have to get permission to spend money up to an amount. Do you understand? So if, for example, I don't need to ring my wife, with all due respect, to bless somebody with $200 who has not eaten. I can trust, I know I have my wife's trust and confidence, all right, to be able to do that. I've got autonomy for that, and vice versa. Do you understand? But I cannot give $20,000. I don't have the autonomy to give $20,000 to somebody who needs
massive autonomy.
Somebody, yes, you understand. So autonomy is important. The problem where people get it wrong, especially those that have joint accounts and stuff like that, is that they take it too far. Where one person has to ask, especially if that person is not the one bringing a lot of the income, they have to go through. It's even worse when the woman is the one bringing more income than the man. And that now brings up a lot of issues with ego and control and stuff like that, where, so there has to be an agreement, all right, about what the level of autonomy each person should have. Even if the woman, for example, is a stay-at-home mom working at home and not earning, bringing money in, but still doing a lot of work, they should still have autonomy as to how much they can spend without any issues. That I think is really important. I think it leads to a lot of issues. The lack of autonomy in finance is often what leads to the problem, and that's why people keep secrets. That's why somebody will be building a house and not tell. Yes. So I think it's really essential. The second one is certainty. And certainty is about being open to each other to know exactly where the true situation is and having confidence about where our financial position is going forward, because that will dictate how much. If, for example, you don't have enough savings and things are running out and your wife is buying things that you feel are unnecessary, all right, and there's no discipline there, that creates uncertainty.
Yes,
all right,
absolutely.
And that's what the lack of money is a lack of certainty.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Where would this one come from? Where would that one come from? So if what you have, let me tell you, there was a time when we first came to Australia where I was earning so little, all right, and half of my income was going overseas, supporting my brother, supporting my mom, supporting this, and my wife was an international student, $20,000 a year, and I was paying credit card because those days you couldn't get a loan, so I had to get a credit card. 21% interest rate was the interest rate I get. Those days interest rate was
serious debt.
So I was in debt. I was paying for my car and insurance, which was also a scam. Like, don't worry about that. I was overpaying the insurance, and so many things there. We were living. I'm telling you the truth. When I was a doctor,
from hand to mouth.
I was a doctor, and I was on Facebook. But I was living practically, once you get your income every fortnight, It's all gone because you pay your rent, you send
Everything,
money
yeah.
overseas. You know,
Yeah.
in those days we used to use real money transfer.
Yeah, I
Western
know.
Union,
They were
Money
very
gram and
expensive
stuff.
then.
you know, and you do this and you do that, and you know, there was just
Wow.
no room.
For anything,
No
for
room
autonomy, for certainty.
No room for anything else. So the only way we could get our certainty was, okay, we knew our income, we could plan with that, and we could sit down together. So if both partners have certainty about the direction and how we should spend money,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. We had little.
Communication.
Yes.
Yeah.
So certainty is really essential. It doesn't matter whether you're earning $500 a month or you're earning $50,000 a month. That certainty is important, that you can reassure yourself and have that conversation and have plans.
This is how much we have.
Yes.
So I was just sharing earlier on that, you know, if we have a big project, like we have Legacy Conference and so much is going out to that conference, all I need to do is to tell my wife now. Those days, what I will do is, those days we didn't have, the only credit card was maxed out anyway. So it's about withdrawal. But these days, just saying, hey, you know, this month, so many expenses, we're paying this, this, and this, and this. So just cut it down, you know, a little bit less of the extras. All right, because she handles a lot of the household finances and all that. Just cut it down and all, and that's it. So certainty, and the final one, sorry, because of time, equality. All right, every couple, wife, husband wants to feel equal in the relationship. Do you understand? And I remember there were times where my wife was feeling unequal or feeling less because
I was spending more or something.
Yeah, I was doing more than she
I understand that
was earning. And then I could, you know, so it was easy for me to just say, oh yeah, we'll do this without consult. Even those things were for good causes. And so when she was making a reference to you still communicating with your partner, like, hey, listen, I think this is a good cause. When we got married, I told her, listen, somebody sent me to school. You know, somebody who is not my parents paid for my fees. We're going to be giving, we're going to be supporting other people, but we have to, of course, there are many times that I would, and I'm the kind of impulse buyer, to be honest with you. That's why I don't do a lot of buying.
The whole house will be full.
you know, so I can go to the shopping center, you know,
and just
ask her when I'm on Amazon. All right. Amazon,
your cat is like,
I'm one of their best clients. Amazon. All right. So I can go on Amazon and I just tick. All right. Goodness. So that balance is really essential to be able to put symmetry to it and make sure that things are controlled. So equality is really essential.
Very key. Yeah, there you won't say something, have you?
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Nia said a lot of things, and I totally agree with what he has said. The question was about finance, you know, how it causes issues in marriage. I also want to just sort of add to
Kristen,
yes, how that can be causing marriage, access to money. I also want to also add that it's important that even before we get married, you know, as individuals, we need to talk about these things and not just assume that, you know,
it's just going to walk itself out.
Exactly. Because I mean, before we got married, my parents had a joint account, and I just automatically, you know, thought that we are going to have a joint account, you know, because I thought that was the standard, you know, and I don't think we really had that conversation, but we started with a joint account, and we realized that it was really tough for us at the beginning, you know. So I just want to encourage people who are single, have a conversation. What does your spouse, you know, expect? Because the expectations, you know, and we just sort of assume a lot of times that this thing is going to work the way I have it in my head, and the other person thinks, okay, this is how it's also going to happen, and then you get into marriage like it's not happening the way you know it's going to happen. You know, and some of us, because of our backgrounds, we have come from homes where, you know, your mother was secretive, your father was secretive, and also because of that ideology and your mindset, you feel like I need to keep my money. My husband wasn't, so you've come into marriage with a wrong mindset already, you know, and that is going to cause a lot of trouble in that marriage, you know. And realize that when both of you are married, it's you, both you and your spouse. So there should be transparency. You know, just to add to what Dr. I feel like if both of you are transparent, you know, it's going to work a lot. So have that conversation. I feel that there's something you should not be able to share with your husband or with your wife, you know. So talk about how you're going to handle those finances. And I also think that it's important. I mean, we talk about love languages. They're also what we call like money language. You know, we all have our money language. So it's important that you know what your spouse's money language is. You know, there are 4 of them. Like, there's the driver, there is the expressive, there is the amiable, and the analytic. My husband is analytic. He likes to save and conserve and tighten the budget and For me, I'm a happy-go-lucky person.
Allah, Lord. Father, we bless your name. Father, we give you glory. Thank you, Jesus. Everybody can see what God was doing when they brought me into our life.
I mean, for me, we only live this life once. Let us enjoy.
Yes, so
Let us enjoy this money that God has blessed us with, But it's important that there is a balance, And at the beginning, that lack of understanding was present, and it caused a lot of clash, in our marriage. But by the grace of God, we have grown. We've understood each other better, and we realize that even in our differences, it's a blessing. Because if it was left to me alone,
if we are together like you,
I might not be in debt. But God has brought him, and that's another blessing of marriage that we're talking about. Exactly, but God has brought him into my life.
Complementing of each other's strengths.
Yes. So I think that it's important for us as couples to be able to find that balance.
Yeah, realistically as well, maybe bringing it home and breaking it down practically. For us, for instance, so we moved away from that only joint account to now learning that, we could still keep the joint account for our day-to-day expenses / home expenses, expenditure, mortgage, food, and all of those things. And there was a time we were in so much debt, right? And to the glory of God helped us. We got out of that debt. And then we were very intentional about budgeting from there. So what we now do is, from that joint account, when we receive our income goes into one account. We now give ourselves pocket money every month with that limit you mentioned, sir.
Yes.
All right. We now have so whatever she does with her, I don't need to know, but just for the sake of transparency, sometimes she would tell me, I sent this, even though I can't query that because that's her pocket money. And I do that too many times.
You buy all sorts for himself.
I buy things for myself.
I'm like, why are you doing so many shoes?
My wife would be like, you bought another shoe. I said, it's my money. As long as I'm not buying it with the joint one. So I love that thing you said about autonomy, certainty, and equality. I think it's very powerful. So, and it can come in various dimensions and various different ways. Like the one you talked about, even though it's a whole joint account or not necessarily all joint account, as long as they're those three, I think it would work. It would certainly work. Yeah. All right. I hope we have answered that question for someone there. If you have other questions, somebody said, "Is this open to questions?" Absolutely, it's open to questions.
Yeah, sure. Leave your comments, questions.
Uche Oleka said, "Is this session open to questions?" Absolutely. Oluwa Shokwetunde said, "Can we get the recording?" Yes, this is.
Well, it's on YouTube and Facebook.
Where you're watching it, you will see
it
right there. And we really appreciate all of you watching thus far. I think I saw one question.
Feel free to share also if you're on Facebook. Share this video. Share on your timeline.
Yes. Somebody said, "I love this quote, my man of God. Your marriage is very important. If you marry right, it is 75% sure that you make heaven. And if you get it wrong, it is like hell on earth." That's the truth.
Absolutely,
the worst thing that can happen to you is that there is hell on earth and hell later. May that not be our case in Jesus' mighty name. I think there are a lot of things there are a few questions here, but let's go back into our line. We've talked about money a lot, and I think it's good. All right. Okay. Should we take one more?
Yeah. I'll round up. We'll finish with that.
All right. Should we finish with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about which one should we talk about? Should we
career or something?
Career?
Yeah.
Should we talk about career? Okay. So we want to talk about career, especially where it has to do with two people, in a marriage. How do we balance our career with our marriage and friendship and our love life? How do we balance that? Because I know some of us, to be very sincere, some of us are ambitious, visionary.
Which is not a bad thing.
Which is not a bad thing. We want to do grandiose things. But sometimes some of those grandiose things could be at the expense of the growth of our marriage, the quality time we spend with our partners, the time we spend with our kids, and all of those things like that. The question is, how do we balance those ambitious, visionary stuff, for our career, maybe even calling, if we bring calling into that place as well, and ministry, with the home that God has given to us to manage. I'm looking at all of you because I'm the question. I'm the question asker.
From answering the questions. Like the purpose preacher, how do you balance it?
Since you are the question answer,
I cannot be the question answer now. I cannot be playing two roles.
Let me start by redefining this, and this is not like an original idea.
Yes.
And I'll take it from work-life balance. Of course, I'm beginning to learn that the approach should not be work-life balance. It's work-life integration. And I think we can bring that to marriage as well, to look at how we can integrate career, ministry, finance, and friendship and everything, get everything integrated together, because they're actually not separate. And I think the idea that this dichotomy that we have in our minds about all this, the separate aspects of our lives actually make things more complicated. If you're a whole person and God sees you as a whole person, God doesn't see you separate. So your marriage is not entirely separate from your career. In fact, they're all interconnected. And so trying to promote integration, and I think is really, really essential, by making sure that your career choices integrate with your family lifestyle and with the current, dynamics of your family. It's really important. I know a lot of people struggle with this, but if you have that at the back of your mind as a principle, or I know we're going to discuss this in more detail. All right, but I just wanted to just lay that on that it's something that requires a lot of work. All right, because career changes. All right, a lot of us would change careers,
and we grow in career.
Absolutely, our responsibility changes, stuff changes, so we have to have constant, and our family life also changes.
True.
Do you understand? So all of those things are really important to keep constant integration. All right, and trying to make sure that we if we integrate it properly, that means that our spouses are aware, they are involved with their careers, meaning that not that they are briefed on every detail, but they are part of it. They are
involved.
They know, they understand what we're looking for, they understand what the journey is, they understand what the process is. And I think that's the best way to get the best out of, our marriage, in that sense, where you have the sense of fulfillment in your career, and you still have the spice and the love and the friendship within your marriage without sacrificing one for the other.
Yes.
I think that's very powerful. And to add to what you said, I also think that's important for the other spouse to be in agreement also. And this also boils down
with
to
your ambition, is it?
Yes. And also I like to go back to the beginning, like even before you get married, it's a conversation that you want to have. I've had a number of people who complain to me about,
my husband's not supporting me.
Or even before they get married, this person they are engaged to does not want them to pursue a master's or a PhD, and it's, for me, it's like, it's a red flag. Because if you're an ambitious person and you want to become this, this kind of person in life, and the person you're already engaged to or in does not see you as, like, doesn't think that you need to achieve that, like you are too ambitious as far as the person is concerned, then it's a red flag. It means that you're going to
go into it, don't blame God.
You're going to be miserable. Like, you are especially if you are a woman, and you have to be submissive to that kind of man who doesn't want you to probably be above him, in that sense. It's going to be a huge struggle. And so you'll find yourself, struggling with, how do I become this? Whereas my husband doesn't want me to become it.
I remember my wife asking me this question too when we were dating.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, like about my
career.
My career.
Yeah, she's been a medical doctor. And she asked me, she said,
"And you being what kind of
because my mom,
he wasn't even a doctor.
I
was doing his master at that time.
I give a dick. So my wife, I was doing my master's then.
At the time, I was yet to go into medical school.
She was asking, because my mom at that time was a housewife. All right, not necessarily by choice-ish, but the situation we were in, mom had to be a housewife to look after my sisters and all of those things like that. And me and my dad were the ones, pursuing, were studying or something like that. And she asked me, she said, I want to further my career. I want to become a consultant and everything. And to the glory of God, I told her, I said, anywhere you are going, we're going there together.
Yeah.
All right. I will be there for you. I will support you. I will, because to the glory of God, I think I was raised in a very secure way when it comes to my career. Not everyone is raised in a very secure way. And we need to tell that to single people here, or even some people who are married. Not everyone is raised that way. Some people, it can fling both ways, but usually for women, if a woman wants to rise, for some men, they are not secure.
Yeah.
They feel like the moment the woman rises,
that's
Yeah.
a threat.
a threat. She will no longer be submissive. She will no longer be respectful, and all of those things like that. So they want to kill the woman, or not kill, but
suppress
and all of that, and subdue her. And we have to be very careful about this as well. So I remember answering her, and I said, we're in this together. We're in this together. She asked me again. She said, because I know your mom is at this time. Mom is a housewife, so I need to know
exactly. Because I felt that because I felt like if your mom is this, you may feel like this is the wife. This is how I want my wife to be also. To be a homely. It feels like my wife should be a homely kind of person. And I know that I'm going to be homely, but I don't
have to be home all the time to be homely.
Exactly, because that's not the way I see myself, and it's more that I have to let him know that, and I guess where I'm going also is we have had a lot of, challenges in terms of my career, for example.
Career growth, career changes.
Yes, when I came to New Zealand, it was very, very difficult for me to, begin to get up, pass my exams, to practice on the licensing, to the point that I had to go back to Nigeria for 1 year, with 2 children. To make that decision was very tough. My husband almost said no. He almost said, no, you're not going anywhere. But there were lots of crying, lots of pleading, lots of
fighting for those who think everything is perfect.
Yeah, because it was challenging, but that's part of us trying to balance. We realized that it is our dream, not just my dream.
That's powerful.
Yes, it's my dream, but it's now become our dream. Because we came into this together, and from the onset, I told him I want to be able to fulfill this. This is my dream, but now I want you to see it as our dream. So it's our dream now, and it was tough. It was very, very tough, but we did it. And then I finished that, passed my exams. And then we had to get a job here, that took us another 1 year apart again, outside of
another city.
Yes, and it was another challenge.
Nobody should ask me how I managed it.
But at the end,
how did you manage?
it was tough. It was very, very tough. But at the end of the day, being able to balance our career, we've seen it as it is our career. It is not my career or his career, because this also had challenges. It's become our career, and we always talk about this. So come back to communication again. We always have that conversation. We always ensure that we're in agreement. If I'm having long days, if I'm going to pick up an extra shift or anything, he's aware. I'm not just saying I'm picking up extra shift and then who's going to look after the kids? What's going to happen to all the other responsibilities? Yeah. So we are in this together, and that's how, by God's grace, we've been able to balance things. We continue to talk about what is happening in our lives, in our career, by the grace of God. Yeah.
Salam, do you want to say anything?
I think just in addition to all of that, because I think that most of the time it falls on the woman, but my encouragement and advice to every woman now that is doing the housewife thing, just because of the season you're in, you have to make that sacrifice. Is don't forget yourself. So don't get lost in all of this and say, let my husband just keep pursuing and then I'll just sit down and look after the kids. What happens when the kids grow up?
Yes.
So in that time, build yourself. If you have to do the certification and you can't, even if you can't go out to get a job at that time, have it.
Get it.
Yeah.
Do it.
So many online courses that you can even do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when the time comes, because these children, my mom always says this, that, the future you want, you start it now. So do what you have to do now. And I tell you, when those kids are able to fly, when you leave them and say, okay, I think I've done my part, then you will be happy.
Yes,
to be
that's
the
powerful.
person God has called you to be. It's not at that time that you now be running around and say, yeah, I've wasted 10 years and I've done nothing. So build your own self.
Yourself.
Yes.
in
And
that
we need to
time.
correct this misconception that the person who's staying at home is not working.
They're working.
You know how some people say, I'm the one going out to work. You
And
are
then you're
just
just
staying at home. And that person is staying at home looking after the home.
doing the
Even if they don't have
work.
children yet, they are looking after
They're
the home.
doing the
They are sweeping,
work.
they are cleaning, they are doing
Yeah.
everything. They are cooking, they are
Yes.
making food, the
And
food
coming
is
to
ready.
eat.
And you're eating.
And you're coming and you are saying, I'm the one going out to work. You are not doing anything. That is wrong. It's a wrong mindset. The other side too is somebody who is not going out to work, but they are looking after kids. Is a lot.
That's a lot
It's
of
a lot of
overwhelming work.
In fact, the practicality in our home now is my wife's job is more not so flexible. She's a medical doctor. I'm a lecturer. My job is a lot flexible. So in the reverse way, many times you see the is a man that is always busy, and the woman is the one that. The reverse is the case in our home. She is not flexible. Our job is not flexible. My job is flexible. I'm the one mostly with the kids, taking them to school, most times bringing them back to the group. But I don't complain. I cannot complain because, like she said, it's our dream that she's also fulfilling there. And my dream is not being sacrificed. My dream is not hurt at all, to the glory of God. But there will come time in all of our homes where one person need to make a sacrifice.
Yeah, that's true.
And one person, the other person should not think that person is not working, or that person is lazy, or that person is not, even if their job is not flexible, but they decide to make a sacrifice and pause their career or something, whatever, to make things work, does not mean that sacrifice is trivial. And somebody should just forget about it. I just thought we mentioned.
Absolutely. I think what you said there is really spot on. And I think this is particularly this would resonate with a lot of women who will. What's that?
They need to allow me stock show.
This
cooking.
This will resonate with a lot of women, particularly. So I remember that for us, of course, being the doctor and going everywhere. So I used to travel, or we used to move almost every year or every 2 years. We kept moving because of just the nature of our jobs. We kept moving, and Olaimi would move along with me almost everywhere. And I know that was a lot of sacrifice. Of course, when we had a baby, I was not the one that stopped working. All right. So in fact, she was studying at the time. She was studying a bachelor's degree when we had Ethan and Daniel. So she took a year off school. So a 3-year course became a 4-year course. And of course, when she's never worked full time. And that was just an agreement that we've had. But one of the ways that I knew that I had to compensate her and make sure that she was compensated was by making sure that she lacked nothing. And even up till today, I still make sure that our superannuation is maximum. All right, by God's grace, so that at the end of the day, the fact that she is not working, because that's one of the issues that happen, particularly in women who don't do a lot of working, and then a divorce happens down the track. There are a lot of women who are in their 40s and 50s who are in poverty now, where the marriage breaks down. Of course, when the marriage breaks down, you sell your assets, but if you don't have so many assets, all right, and then you don't have anything in your pension, and you're like in your 50s, where are you going to work? You've got nothing. Because all of the while you've just been looking after kids, whereas the man has been building up his own pension and building up his retirement fund, whereas you have not been building up your retirement fund. All right, and I think that's something that women, you should take note of this. If you're working part-time and your husband is working full-time, or if you're not working as much as your husband, or the reverse the case, it's a conversation you should have about your retirement funds to make sure that you top it up. That person should make a sacrifice, because most pension funds are tied. The contributions in those funds are tied to how much you earn. So if you are going to spend 10 years, 12 years, 30 years, especially for those who are diasporans living in the Western world, absolutely. Even those who are living in Africa, I think it's also the same thing. So if you've got to have those conversations. So that's one of the things we did to make sure that at least our pension fund is well taken care of, and that financially whatever she needed, she was able to get, and so without having to worry about working or not working as much, because I know, for example, that without her, it's hard for me to juggle up all the things that I do with the kids and everything. And by the way, our kids are around. I'm sure you've been hearing all the noise. Yes.
How can I survive this long?
Yes.
God's work.
Daniel is the babysitter today.
God's work.
Imagine having an 11-year-old as a babysitter out there. All right, yeah. So that's what I would say to that, and it's been. But of course, after that, she went back for a master's degree. She started her own career. She started a new career now. There's a bit here and there, but hopefully you will see what comes out of it. So ultimately, I remember at that time that our desire then was that she needed to have her own. She needed, I'm telling you the truth that you enjoy your marriage when both of you have autonomy.
It's liberating.
When both of you have,
you don't feel stuck.
The
worst that can happen to you is to feel stuck.
And listen, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, you should find something doing. Get courses doing. I actually don't think. I don't think there's an excuse for you to be a stay-at-home mom.
No more excuse. There are free courses online.
YouTube courses.
You can
learn.
I was watching Dragons Den recently, where a single mom, she just started making yogurts or stuff like that. All right, and I think it was a few years ago actually.
Okay,
and she just started making it at home because she was good with cooking, and she came to Dragons and she pitched it with very, very great story. Today it's a multi-business in the UK.
Our friend Temi Ajibewa. She was a housewife too when she started doing business, and eventually she got into coaching. Today, she said it herself, so I'm not saying this at all. She makes more money than her husband. She said she was a housewife, and asked herself what could she be doing. She started business before she trained herself as a coach, and look at that today. So whoever it could be a man or a woman. Let's assume you're making a sacrifice to be at home, and like Salah said, don't now forget yourself. Work on your future. I think we're going to stop here based on our own.
Can I something just came to my mind before we round up? I just want to tell some singles who are watching us today. See, we didn't get here overnight. We got married probably while we're still struggling. So don't think that you're going to marry a man that's already up there, or a woman that's already up there. No, all of us, the four of us that you see today, let's not even tell you our story. We should start. We will not finish it.
So please don't envy people.
When you see us, there's a lot of work that has gone behind the scene, but we've all decided that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Olami's twin.
That's my twin.
Shout out to Olami.
God bless you. Say shout out to you. God bless you, man.
Yeah, that's okay. So it's important that you don't just judge somebody by their status, their financial status at this time.
Yes,
don't
that's
say, this person is a locator person. No. My husband, when I met him, he was what? He was a waiter.
Working as a restaurant.
He was waiter in a restaurant. Yes.
Waiter.
Yes.
See, today I can still carry plates like that.
Yeah. Like yes, when I met yes, when I met him was a waiter in a restaurant. But if I use that eye to look at him, like look down on him, like this guy waiter, I would.
You've done a lot. You've really polished him.
I can still carry my plate. So.
No more plates for you to carry. It's only in your house you'll be carrying plates.
Oh my God.
Yes, I thought I should just chip that in.
Praise God. So there's a lot we want to talk about. We'll
just take a few questions.
Because there are questions, so we're going to pause our own and not stop this and take some questions and then we'll finish. Because like we said earlier, kids are waiting for us, so we're just going to quickly finish.
It's nearly midnight in New Zealand.
Somebody said, Brushin Yakinshala, one of my very favorite people, he said, what would you say to couples that go their separate ways because of really reconcilable differences?
I don't think there's
Well,
any.
but irreconcilable differences is that's a legal term, isn't it?
Okay.
That's a term that you use to satisfy the court.
Yes.
No, actually, it's a term used to satisfy the court that you've tried after a period of separation, you've tried to reconcile and you could not reconcile. And in fact, it just tells you that both people are. In fact, by the time you use that language, most people would have given up.
Yes.
They've found new relationships. They've had a period of separation. And so they're just finalizing their divorce to say, hey, we're moving apart. We couldn't reconcile. We couldn't resolve the issues and all of that. So it's often, it's just a legal term I think it's about stopping it from getting there. You already know that differences will happen. You're already different before marriage. And marriage will amplify those differences. As you get older,
I like that. Marriage doesn't minimize it.
It amplifies it. Let me give you an example. When we initially got married, all right, maybe because of Olaimi's background and Olaimi's insecurities early on and all of that. I think when she joined me in Australia, for the first 1 year, Olaimi was very needy. When I mean needy now, Olaimi was very like I felt like a king, man. I felt like she needed me. I felt that she couldn't breathe without me.
I couldn't breathe without you.
To be honest,
I don't leave.
I just felt that she couldn't. Let me tell you, if I'm in the toilet for 5 minutes, she will come to the toilet.
Hello, that's deep. Why are you still not going to the toilet again?
Even if it is smelling.
Are you not smelling things?
Even if it is smelling, like toxic.
That's what I'm saying. She's not smelling it, but then love covered the smell.
Love covers a multitude of smells.
Love covers a multitude of smells.
I could not. There was a time where I was even feeling like, man, I can't. We'll go everywhere. Every weekend we'll go to watch a movie. Every new movie that came out will be. We always go to the cinema.
Think she needed to feel secure then.
But I think that's just me.
I think it was just.
But
her.
over the years.
No, let me say it. Let me say it. So I think naturally she was, and of course we're far away from home, all right, and we were living in regional Australia, so it was just 2 of us. We didn't have a lot of friends, so we needed each other. But I just felt that I felt that I could, like me, now if you give me YouTube and documentaries and some books, I can be in my room for 24 hours. I don't need anybody. If we should be the one to say, won't you eat? Until the hunger is like, I'm like this, I will not get out of the room. But she just would. Even if I'm ready, she'll be beside me. Everywhere. I want to step out, she's there.
Toilet.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
But you know what? That was not going to be sustainable. What happened was that as she started a bachelor's degree, she got busier. And she got busier. She had more on her plate.
You have been used to that.
Yeah. So I remember there was a time I thought about it that, you know what, I've got to adjust, because when we had our kid, what really changed everything to me was when she started driving. Oh my God. Driving sort of gave her freedom, because you know what? Before she started driving, it was me.
Yeah, she was independent.
Hairdresser, it would have during my time.
Yes,
shopping, my time.
Because
everything.
You are the one taking her there.
And then suddenly she started driving, and now she had the liberty.
It's like she doesn't need you anymore. You now feel not from like a king again.
And then when our first son came, and then she had someone to fall in love and affection. And then I started. That was when I got that was when I realized that, man, I had to start to and a lot of men struggle with this, where over years they just feel
I'm not wanted anymore.
Marriage changes you.
Wow.
I like the focus becomes on the kid. I had to readjust that. Listen, I can't be the center of our world anymore. My wife would not like. There was one argument we had. I looked at her and I said, "This is not like never." Olaimi lose her cool and look at me eyeball and say, "Don't." I said, "What possessed you?" Like, or whatever. I'd never. When we were cutting, no, it is Monsioni. That's the way it was. It was only that. Like, I was like, what? You know what I mean? What happened to you?
Evolving.
So people evolve. She became more assertive. Now she can look at me and tell me and call me out. Do you understand what I'm saying? And she knows me. She knows that if she wants to drag me all out now, she can do it easily in 2 or 3 sentences. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So the reality is that it's something that we need to understand. We will be different. Marriage will amplify our differences. It is our responsibility to keep working on those differences, to find areas of commonality. And that would help us. Because you know what? We are still different. Like, do you know how many times she tapped my leg there to stop talking? Right here. Because she's like, okay.
Somebody has done it too. We've been doing it to us too. We are doing it together.
Absolutely.
Together something.
So we can, both of us, if we're here, we'll still be here till like another 2 hours.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So, but this is the truth. Irreconcilable differences is a legal term. The goal is to make sure that your marriage does not get
to that point.
That place. We'll take maybe 2 more. Pastor Charles Ball, our very good friend, is asking, on a practical note, what does work-life integration look like for our panelists on a daily basis? I believe he's trying to get us to be practical about this. Let's talk about our own. Like I've actually shared ours. I've shared ours. My wife our job is not flexible. Mine is a lot flexible. For instance, let's talk about how the kids are on holiday now, and they are home 247. They are home 247. It is my duty, while she's at work. She goes to night shift, and I don't go to night shift. I don't do all those shifts. I don't do long day. I don't do all of those. But it is my duty to make sure the kids, their needs are met. They are able to do what they need to do. They're able to play and all of those things like that. That is my duty. So practically, that's how that integration works for us. That's how we balance it. In terms of my calling and all of those things and ministry, the very same way we talk. We talk about it. We communicate. There are sometimes me too. Maybe I'm busy or there's all the series of things, and she will need to take me. We talk about it.
Sometimes she probably has a
series of maybe I'm launching a course,
for a program or something, and I have to be the one to train to school earlier. We talk about what our plans for each day or the following week or whatever, so that I understand that she's going to be available. I'll be available. The kids are fine. Everything is working together for good. So I think we've answered that question. Let's
that's good. That's good.
Okay. I think the next question is in one case that I'm aware of, this couple are in the second marriage. They feel they rushed into their second marriage, but are now thinking the world would laugh at them if they go their separate ways. So there's a lot of pressure in the home. Any advice for them?
See a married counselor. There's a lot to unpack there. And they're not happy.
So we would encourage them to actually speak to somebody about it. It sounds like they're struggling in that marriage, definitely. So it's not about patching things up and keeping quiet. I mean, silencing yourself while you're struggling. Suffering in silence. See a marriage counselor will be advice. The probably second to the last question is, how did you now balance your career and your relationship or marriage? Secondly, how does both parties key into the reservation and career path, because the career path is no longer my career, but now I think we talked about this already.
Can I just make a comment on that in terms of because as I said, vision and career changes. Like where I was 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago. All right, so 2.5 years ago, I wasn't on Instagram. 2.5 years ago, there was no Changemakers International. There was no personal brand. There was no legacy conference. All right. So all of those things are legacy consults and all of those things. And I think I had shared this before, where I think the biggest fight I've ever had with my wife was when we wanted to launch legacy consults. And I was really excited about it. I'd hired a hotel venue. I'd invited about maybe 30 people. I wanted to do the launch. And I just realized that I didn't realize at the end of the day that by going so fast, that was creating uncertainty for her. And I think those 3 things I talked about, autonomy, certainty, and equality, should actually not be limited to finance. I think it's in every area of marriage, career, every area of marriage. And I think for her, it just created a bit of uncertainty about, okay, what next? What are we? And I just joined the military. We've not even resolved that one. I was setting this up. And I think we didn't have enough communication at the time, or we just assumed that we're just on the same page and everything. And, we had an argument that just at the end of the day, it was not feasible that I could continue with that. So I remember that a day before the launch, I had to cancel the event, and I lost a lot of money. Do you understand? Because the event was on a Sunday and I canceled on a Saturday.
But you had to gain your home.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, when I called the hotel to cancel, unfortunately they didn't pass the information. So they had prepared food for 30 people, everything. So they called me at the time the event was started. Where are you? And where are your guests? I said, I called yesterday to cancel after hours around 6 p.m. on a Saturday. They said, well, some of the information didn't come through. So the chef has they prepared everything. So they charged me for the food. It was a very expensive thing. But at the end of the day, I looked at it that, you know what, I canceled because I just felt at the time. And of course, the next day, I think we spoke for like 5 hours.
We were there when they called.
Yeah, you were there when they called. Well, we spoke for like 4 or 5 hours. In fact, we were talking together, trying to repair our marriage. When they called, where's your event? I'm like, you know,
forget event.
This would not happen. So I realized that, okay, you know what? I really, because I was becoming too involved and getting distracted, not realizing that, listen,
you're not carrying
I've got to
along.
work with her. So it's really important that, particularly for if you've got people who are like ourselves, where, you know, I'm very entrepreneurial, I've got energy, I've got vision, I've got those kind of things. So sometimes, you know, your partner is there to slow you down and to just help you say, listen, give you a better perspective. Nobody has a monopoly of all knowledge or revelation. You know, your partner is there to give you the other side, you know, the blind side, to shine light to the blind side and give you a different perspective to the situation. And that's really key. So that is really essential.
Yeah, totally agree. And that's, I think, just to add to what Dr. Nee just said, one of the key problems of many marriages is that many people, although they are married, they still live as if they are single. You know, it's important that you carry your spouse along. Your life is no longer your own. So not just do life like
life is not
it's your own. It is my life. It's my life. You know, remember there's somebody that's, you know, that's living that life with you now.
Awesome. I guess the last question for today, and this is where we're going to wrap it up. And I hope you've all been blessed and you're really.
Let us know what you have learned today.
Yes. Please go anywhere. Talk about Legacy Conference. Okay. How do you deal with a situation where you and your wife are not really where you feel your wife is not really involved in your goals and dreams? I guess that goes both ways. We should just say where you feel your spouse isn't involved in your goals and dreams. Should I answer this or yes, I've coached many people who have realized that maybe they marry someone who has no interest in whatever they are trying to do, or felt they were doing too much, they were too ambitious, they were too visionary, and that person was no longer interested. I think it is very important for that person. I remember the advice I gave to a few of them: please go and pray, because you're already married. You cannot quit. Number one, go and pray. You will need to pray a lot of prayers, because you cannot change anyone instantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most likely they have been doing that before you got married. You probably just did not notice, or you ignored it. Number two, have a chat to them. Communication is key. And tell them and say, this is my dream, this is my life, this is my vision, this is my goal. Maybe, you know, like Dr. Nee was sharing just now, maybe you're not carrying them along enough. Maybe you are, you know, doing it too much and they don't feel certain anymore. They're not feeling secure with your pursuit, with the pursuit of your dreams and your purpose and your vision, whatever that is. All right, then have that conversation. I think it's very important to do that. But most importantly, you can't change anyone in jiffy. It might take some time and you have to be patient.
So I was going to say that in that situation, the man or the woman is not crazy. You know, there's a reason nobody wants their spouse to remain where they are. We all want our spouses to make progress in life, because their success is your success. So I think that for us, that's one area that, you know, I will always let my husband know. Or if there have been times that he said, it looks like you're not supporting me, it looks like this and that, you know, talk about it. Talk about it and give, if it's the woman, give her time.
Give her time.
Don't say that because she's letting you do all of these things. You can keep adding to the plate and then forget her. There was a time I say sometimes that it looks like my husband feels like wherever he puts me, he will come back there and meet me there. don't let it be that way. If you're somebody that is always chasing after your dreams and you're very
Changing
ambitious,
ideas,
and
changing
yeah,
visions.
find a way of carrying
The other person.
he or she along, and it will make it easier for you.
Yes,
It will.
make them part of the team. Make you work together as a team, not as an
Yes.
autonomous
Yes.
Entity.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything to that?
I think both of you have said.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Praise God. Thank you everyone for joining us today. But before you go, we want to tell you about Legacy Conference. By the grace of God, Legacy Conference is happening from August the 25th to the 27th this year. And guess what? We have the John C. Maxwell speaking at the conference. You all know John Maxwell. I've known John Maxwell since I was a teenager. He's influenced my life, touched my life. He's a mentor. And guess what? We are going to be having him live at Legacy Conference. I don't think if you miss an opportunity like this, you are going to get another one, very soon around the same time. So this is a conference you need to go register for. How do you register for it? Go right now to legacyconsults.com.au.
Yes, legacyconsults.com.au. It's going to be amazing. And John Maxwell will be joined by some other amazing speakers. We have Jumoke Adenawa, who is a world-renowned architect. She's also a global leader. And when it comes to women in business, she is really up there. She's also a professor of architecture. So she's an amazing woman. She'll be speaking. We also have Feladro Toye, who most of us know is a leadership expert. He's a member of the Forbes Coaching Council. And then we have Wendy Burns. Wendy Burns is one of the senior members of Maxwell Leadership. We have, Dr. Sam Ekundayos, the Purpose Preacher, will also be speaking. We also have Debola Deji
Kurumi, our very good friend.
Yes, amazing. She'll be speaking. And I will also be speaking as well. So it's going to be an amazing event, August 25 to 27. You've got to register. We also have a VIP session. Yes. There's a VIP session during the event. The event is a free event. Yes, it is free, completely discounted. But during the event, on one of the sessions, we've got a VIP session where we will have opportunity to really, give people more time and attention. And we're going to be having different breakout sessions in that meeting. We'll be talking about purpose and clarity. We're going to be going deep into leadership, the neuroscience of leadership, and self-leadership. So there'll be bespoke masterclasses during that VIP session. So if you go onto our website, legacyconsults.com.au, you find the link to register for the VIP session. I think we're just charging $99
for something worth $999. I tell you, to get any of us to sit down with you for that time, we're going to be sitting down with you will cost you way more than that.
And you're also going to get a recording of all the sessions if you're a VIP member, and you're also going to get one of our books that are coming out. One of my books is coming out very soon. Hopefully before the end of the year, you'd get that. And I think Dr. Sam as well.
I have another book coming out as well, titled "You Too Can Work Miracles."
You Too Can
It's
Work
going to be an
Miracles,
exciting one. So go register and get yourself in. Okay. Any last words, or should we?
Yes, I think it was beautiful. Sharing with you all. Yes, and also just to let you know that my books are out. I've got some new books out. Yes, so you can find them on Stella, on Amazon. One of them is titled "Slide Into My DM: 10 Proven Tips to Find and Keep Your True Love Online," and the second one is titled "Relationship Red Flags." All right, and the third one is, "Are we compatible?" 65 important questions to ask before you get married. So
and we've talked about that today. So if you are looking for next steps as regarding these conversations, those books will be yours to buy.
Thank you. Just know that marriage relationships need to be worked at.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Keep working.
And our talk show is coming soon.
Keep working. Keep working. Thank you.
Yes. So, and if you're on any of our YouTube channels, please, if you're watching there, subscribe if you haven't subscribed.
Subscribe to our YouTube channels, Dr. Sam Ekundayos, and we've got our kids here. Let's bring them.
All right, come, careful. Watch the wires. Watch the wires.
Watch the wires.
Excited.
Say hello. Say hello.
Where's it then?
They've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Where will these guys be? When will these guys finish?
Thank you.
We're finally finished. Thank you all. God bless you. Have a good
Thank
day.
you all.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night where you are.
God bless
I love
you.
you.
Enjoy.
Bye bye.
Enjoy. Yes.
See
Thank
you.
you.
God bless you
Thank
all.
you. If you know someone
Bye-bye.
who needs this, share it with them.
Share the link
Send
with
the
them.
link
Yeah.
to
God bless. See you at Legacy.
Yeah.
Thank
See you at
you.
Legacy. Go register for Legacy Conference.
Everybody
right
say
now.
Legacy.
Say
Legacy.
Legacy. Woo! Bye bye.